Thank you to our 4 sponsors for supporting our podcast: Johnny Russell's Art Caterers and Milltown Pies, Alexander Grace Law, Jez and Lisa's Spoonful of Sweets, and SPE Furnishings. Links to their websites are available in the show notes and on our website. Don't forget to subscribe to get all the latest episodes as soon as they're released.
Worsley Cup still gleaming, years without a cup, never stopped us dreaming.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Housecast, this special edition from Lowerhouse Cricket Club's official podcast, the Housecast from the Worsley Cup Final 2021, which was played yesterday. We're going to discuss it in detail, not talk about anything else that's gone on over the club over the last few weeks since we did our last podcast. This is just about the Worsley Cup. So there's 4 of us on this today that we're going to talk it through. We've no special guests, we've just got the special hosts. So with us this evening, we've got Joe Beneducci. How you going, Joe? Are you hungover or are you not too bad?
I was a bit delicate this morning, but I'm fine now. Fine, all good now.
Right, you still buzzing?
Yeah, definitely. Great day yesterday. Get into it. But yeah, brilliant day.
Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. Then to represent the players, we've got young Joe Martin, who's going to contribute to what that was like on the build-up to it and also playing in the Worsley Cup Final. Hiya, Joe, you okay?
I'm very well, thank you, Jess. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, it was very pleasant. We had some good catch-ups last night, didn't we? Me and you. You were
absolutely did, and I sat with you for a good proportion of the game before I had to start doing my laps. That's
right, you did. You did a few laps, and it was good to catch up with you. How are you today? Are you still up there, or are you?
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, really good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And then we've got our other co-host on from down in the South Coast. We've got Gary Morehouse, who's going to talk through his side of the Worsley Cup Final, following it all on social media and YouTube, etc. Hiya, Gary, how are you going on?
Hey, Jez. Hey, boys. Yeah, great, thanks. Sorry, I missed out on the last recording. A lot of family down visiting now. Everyone can move around the country, so... but yeah, great to join you tonight after a good day's entertainment yesterday. Brilliant.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for coming on. And yeah, it's good for everyone. We're getting things back into a little bit of normality, which the club can back after it were bouncing last night. So what we're going to do here is just talk about the build-up to the Cup Final, a little bit of a back-to-front, old-fashioned BBC FA Cup Final. We're going to have a look at the 7 days prior to the final, how things were going for the players, the training. For those who weren't aware and are listening to this podcast, we were made aware probably after the semi-final win that Stephen Parry was highly unlikely to be available to play in this game. I think Joe Beneducci is probably best placed to explain why that was, and then the procedures from there into looking for a professional. Dooch, just give us a bit of background. As you know, the first 11, I don't know what your official title is. What are you, a mentor or?
I don't think I've got an official title. Just do whatever gets.
Do whatever.
Just
yeah. I think a lot. Probably pizza delivery man or something like that.
Yeah,
but I think
ice cream man.
Something like that. But you do a fantastic job in. Yeah, definitely. So you do a fantastic job in supporting Ben. And Matt from the second team, and you are in there with all the decisions, and some are great decisions, great decisions to make, should I say, and others are very, very difficult. So just explain what it was like from the semi-final on the build-up to the professional, and why Stephen couldn't play.
So Stephen, we knew all along that he would miss games, and we knew that the Worsley Cup Final would be one of them because he coaches in the 100 for the Manchester Originals women's team. When they play, he obviously has to be with them, and the Sunday was one of their fixture days. So we knew all along that he wasn't going to be around. But obviously, you can't sign or not sign a professional on the basis that he might not be able to play in the Worsley Cup final, because we've only been in 4 in our entire history. So I think it would be foolish if we said no, we're not going to sign the pro because he can't play on that day. But once you get there, then you start looking at what your options are. Came across Ruhan through Frankie and Orbis Pinar, who was a pro that we signed in 2019, that never made it. He'd spent some time in Ireland. He recommended this guy. He could only come over on Saturday night because he was playing for his own club on Saturday in Ireland. But from the minute we contacted him, he was mad keen to play. He didn't want to know how much we were offering him. He said he'd do it, and we'll sort the money out later. And he was mad keen straight away. He wasn't fussed about anything. He wanted to know all about our side, all about the opposition, what competition it was, what the ground we were playing on was like. He clearly was, switched on from the minute that we engaged him. Really, it was good to see.
Right. And was that all sorted with plenty of days in advance, and you could all chill your boots? So just what happened on the build up then to the game, and how he did finally sign for us?
So the conversations with him were only started on the Monday before the final.
All right, okay.
Because we put feelers out with agents and things like that. They gave us a few options. Aaron Lilly, I think, was one of the first options that came up. But we carried on looking to see what other available players we could get. So I think it was Tuesday morning when we got confirmation that Ruhan could do it, and we could make it work in terms of the timings of the flights and everything like that.
Right.
So that was Tuesday. We had his league game on Saturday. Obviously, we were looking for a professional for that game. That got much later on in the week. We got Peter Trigo, the former Somerset pro.
Yeah.
Thursday, we tied that up, and he said on Thursday that not only was he available for the league game on Saturday, but he would also like to do the Sunday as well.
Right.
So we had a little bit of a wobble, in all honesty. We don't know anything about Pretorius other than a recommendation from Orbis via Frankie. Peter Trigo's obviously a known name.
Plus his wife's family live in Padiham.
Exactly. Yeah. He's well known to everybody who knows county cricket. So we did have even though we'd confirmed to Ruhan and we paid for his flights, we did have a little wobble in terms of should we stick with Ruhan or should we go with Trigo? So Wednesday night, Thursday, we did have some conversation, a decision to make, and thankfully we decided that we would stick with Ruhan.
Yeah, but that's all well and good, Dooch. Thankfully, because of the result and the way he actually played. But you talk, and I'm just throwing this out there, and I'm sure you've had this conversation with, clearly the first team captain, and I'm sure the MD and others. An established county cricketer that's played for donkey's years and knows the game inside out. That could have gone belly up, couldn't it?
It could have done, and I don't think we'd have probably been forthcoming with that story if it would have gone belly up.
Right.
But yeah, it could have been. He could have done, and there's obviously logic there for picking Trigo for a cup final.
Yeah.
It's the kind of player that would relish a big game. Very aggressive batsman, good bowler. That might have been something that who knows, Jez, it might have worked. We might have signed Trigo. Done just as well, if not better than Ruhan, but it's hard to say if he would have come up with what Ruhan was able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could talk, us four could chat it through for ages and come up with various options and opinions about it, and which are all very, very valid. But again, it's down to the decisions of the likes of yourself and Matt Stanley and Ben and maybe some of the other players. Joe Martin, were you aware of this was going on midweek or not?
I had no idea.
No, it's just Joe. No one picks up shaking your head on a podcast.
we got through the vibrations. No, I had no idea, Jez.
No, probably for the best.
What? Oh, well, I don't need to be involved in those kind of conversations.
And those kind of things. No, well, without going out off a big, it was no result on the Saturday. We're not bothered about talking about anything else around the cricket other than the cup final. Trigo, a good lad on the Saturday?
Yeah, great. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah, really good. I think he had a bit of an experience with sharing a dressing room in the rain with Johnny White and Forky for 2 or 3 hours.
Right. Yeah, something he'll remember.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when he goes back to his Nottinghamshire changing room, that'll be
we'll be telling a few stories.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a good insight, that Dooch, so that people understand the difficulties that do go on in identifying the sub-professionals. So there was also then, with a bit of an unfortunate, I think is the best way of describing it, problem in that Toxie is carrying a bit of an injury. And am I right in saying, Joe Martin, he's carried it for a couple of weeks?
I think he's carried it since the Walsden semi-final, I think.
Right, okay.
I don't know if I might have got my timings mixed up there, but I can remember him diving for a ball and he stayed down a little bit, and I think he maybe overstretched his right arm and shoulder. He really struggling, couldn't throw or anything like that.
And obviously we've lost our pro, which who has got us to this final, because he knows the players, and we owe him a fantastic amount for getting us there, Stephen Parry. But we've got a sub pro who's in. Toxie, fantastic death bowler. He's one of the best bowlers of that sort of pace in the league. He can tie people up. So it was a bit of a blow, that. Dooch, how did that come around? And was that a shock, or were you, as, let's say, selectors between the 2 or 3 of you who were in that role, were you aware that was going to be a problem? And how did it come to a conclusion that he wasn't fit?
We knew he was potentially going to be injured, and we'd arranged to have a couple of fitness tests with him during the week. Because he didn't look great in the last game, and he volunteered that he was struggling with his shoulder. He was having treatment on it in last weekend and in the run up to the fitness test midweek. The fitness test was arranged for Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Rang me Wednesday morning to say he couldn't really do Wednesday. He wanted to give it another day. So kind of at that stage, you're thinking he's been carrying injury for a month. Another day probably not going to make much of a difference, really, if he can't do it today.
No.
So Thursday he went to the club, and obviously he's desperate to play, as you can imagine. He wants to get there. So he's been for a treatment on Wednesday. Thursday he gets to the club. He did a few bits and bobs of warm-ups, and then he bowled in front of Ben and Blaise to Joe. And I think he only got through 2 balls.
Yeah. What a shame. What a shame for the lad.
Yeah, it was a shame. And, but to be fair to him, he was there carrying the drinks all day yesterday. He's a great guy. He's great to be. He's a great lad to have around the place. If you ever watch a first team game and we're fielding, he's the voice that you hear above everybody else. He's super positive, and like you say, he's a fantastic bowler. He's done great for us. So I checked a bit last night. I think this is probably going to be it for his season. He might try and play a few games in the seconds as a batsman if he eases up a bit, but I don't think he's interested in bowling now for the 3 weeks. So hopefully he comes back. Just
exactly. Exactly. Because he, like you said, and he's batting. He's more than capable of getting some runs for us, and he has done batting down at whether it's 9, 10 or 11. So, I mean, that's gutting for the lad. But as you say, he was there. He came back to the club last night. He's a proper through and through Lowerhouse. So, unlucky there, Toxie. But hopefully you'll be there for the future ones, and you can win some more medals with us in the future. You agree with that, Joe Martin? I mean, you kept to him, you stand up to him all the time. We can't. I don't think we can sing his praises as high as we can.
No, absolutely. He's a brilliant bowler, and he's great for the team.
Yeah.
He's very good to have around the dressing room. As Duke said, he's very positive, and he just wants us to do well. And it was brilliant. He was there all day yesterday, making sure that we were all right, and getting drinks for us if we wanted. And if you watch the live stream video, when we take that wicket, you can see him running on. He's the first one to run on right at the bottom corner, which was brilliant. Yeah,
good lad, good lad. So then, I'm guessing at that stage, Duke, we have a good squad of 15 or 16 players. Quite a few are really young lads who were managing, to get good performance in the second and just coming in the first every now and again. Was there any difficult decisions to be made, or did the first 11 pick itself then?
Yeah, there were probably 12 in the frame, Jez, including Tom, in all honesty. Yeah. So if Toxie would have been fit, he would have played, because obviously bowling options in a cup final, so that would have meant one of the 11 that played would have missed. That's the way it works. That's the way it goes, isn't it, sometimes?
Of course it does. And the added complication, and I know a lot of the Lowerhouse fans understand the rules, but in a cup game, you've got to have 5 bowlers, and at least 5 bowlers. You can only bowl 10. Ben's had his couple of injury problems this year. I think Blaise and Charlie's days of bowling half a dozen overs or so are quite in the past. So it was a big call to go in with just 5 recognised bowlers. But I guess we can go into that how that panned out as we talk about the game. So Joe Martin, on the build up to it, you're looking at the Thursday. Did you train Thursday as a squad?
Yeah, we trained Thursday as a squad.
How did that go?
It was good. It was fine. We all did what we wanted to do. Wasn't massively structured. We're all quite old now, so we sort of know what we need to do for our own games. Hawkey drove back from Hull to train, and then drove back to Hull in the evening.
All right, good lad.
So we had a ball, so that was good. So it was good. It was good. It was nice, and we took a few catches. It was really relaxed, and
good.
It was good.
Good. So the build up to the actual game, you play the Saturday, that's washed out. The Sunday, did you meet before travelling to Clitheroe? Tell us what happened on the build up for the players, please, Joe.
So I think the pro came Saturday night, stayed with Francois. Then we all met on Sunday morning at JJ's diner for breakfast.
Hang on a minute. The pro came Saturday night and stopped with Francois?
Yes, I think that's true.
What on earth went on there?
You drop him off till 12:15, so there was no room, really, no time for any for Frank
tomfoolery
to drag him out anywhere. So
right, brilliant. So you've met for breakfast?
Yeah, met for breakfast. There were some large breakfasts that were had by some of the players, which was interesting. I'm sure that's how kind of elite athletes do it.
What did you have, Joe?
I had a yogurt at about 7 o'clock, and then I had a sausage sandwich with brown sauce.
Well, that's not very like an athlete. I thought you were going to say muesli and a banana or something.
No, I didn't think it'd be socially acceptable for me to ask for those things if I went into there. Excuse me, can I have a banana? Whilst everyone's having like a massive full English with extra bacon and some black pudding.
Good effort.
Little weedy kid in the corner having some muesli.
That's fantastic. I love that for the pre-game meal. So you've had, and then have you gone up in cars or anything, or has there anything been organised for you?
So then we went to the club for a little bit. There's some fans there. We didn't do a great deal, I don't think. Some players went over in a minibus.
Yeah.
I drove over. Toxie drove over with some bags. I drove over with.
Why didn't you bus with the rest of the players?
Because, and there is actually a reason for this, there wasn't enough room to take all the bags in the minibus. So you could either put the bags in the minibus and I'd have driven over, or we could have left our bags here and I could have gone in the minibus. So I just took the decision to drive over, which I'll be honest with you, didn't take me a long time to decide because it means that I can dictate when I leave places. Which
That's brilliant.
Earlier than everyone.
I don't know, Gary, very quickly, and I don't want to interrupt this episode. We've had a similar story at Lowerhouse. We were going on a jolly, didn't we, somewhere? And someone had to drive and take all the bags. Can anyone remember it?
That wouldn't have been the Mr. Ian Sheridan by any chance.
It was, yeah. Driving to Newcastle when Stan dressed up as a minibus driver, and there was no space on the coach, so everyone put the bags in Chez's car, and he drove on his own, and no one would go in with him.
That was brilliant.
So just like your uncle there, young
Joe. I was lucky.
So,
I had a companion in Finchley. That was fine.
Right, no, that's good. So you got there nice and early. Warm ups, how's that? Is things getting a bit nervous now, and the adrenaline starting to go?
I think people were nervous, but
right.
I think we've also the large proportion. I think eight of that team have played in at least 3 Worsley Cup finals before. So.
All right. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, because there would be some experience there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, from a kind of personal point of view, the first final, and Jez and I talked about it at the time, I get very nervous and I have some very vivid dreams about stuff that could go wrong and whatever. But this time I was fine.
You didn't dream?
I didn't dream.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
So that was all right.
That's a good sign. So the ground looked great, at this point. I'd like to, when me and Joe got there and a few others, the ground looked fantastic. It was really set up great with the marquees. Everything was organised. Lowerhouse fans had their own area, which was a massive, the biggest grassed area at the back. It was like being in the old long side. So was there many people there when you got there, Joe?
The buses had just arrived when I had started to put the warming up gear up.
Right.
So it had started to fill out a little bit then. So yeah, it was good. You could see them
great build
excited and ready. Yeah. I mean, it was good to actually warm up in front of them. Actually, it was.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
Support.
Yeah, kicking ball into the fans. Yeah, it was hilarious. So we've lost the toss and we are asked to bat.
Yeah, we'd have battered if we'd won the toss.
Yeah, I thought so. Really?
Yeah.
Right.
And it said it's not a bad toss to lose, but
right.
If we'd have won the toss, we'd have battered.
Right, that's really interesting. And then was that any reason for that? Because
if there was, he didn't tell me.
Right.
So,
you don't ask you that.
No, not really. I'm not.
Right, okay.
I'm not in the think tank.
Right, I see. So they've. So we've. Opened. Our normal openers are opening with yourself and Ben. How did that feel, Joe, coming out in front of everyone? I mean, I'm not sure what the crowd was. Does anyone know the exact number?
No idea.
Or thereabouts. 1,500, do we think, Dooch?
Ish, I'd say that's a fair guess, yeah.
Yeah, so it's busy. There's a lot there. It's quite noisy. Some nerves going on then when you're going out, Joe?
Do you know, not really. The last cup final we played in 2018, it wasn't as hostile an environment as that was. And
right.
So, and I think actually when you go out to bat, you're actually in control of of most things. Whereas when you're watching, you do get nervous. Whereas when you're batting, you're just trying to score runs, aren't you, more than anything? So yeah. So it was fine, and I think we got off to a pretty good start as well. So that was always a benefit.
Yeah, I agree. I think you looked in good nick, and then and then unfortunately got out, and Johnny came in, and Ben and Johnny put on a considerable amount. Have you got the scorecard there in front of you, Duke?
I have, yeah. They came together at 25 for 1, and they put 123 on.
Right. So that is, I'm sure, everyone was thinking, right, this is good. Where do we need to be? We've got a very strong batting lineup. How's this going to pan out? Where should we accelerate? Who should go? Who should stop? And bat around. You're watching this, Gary, at this stage, are you? Are you watching this on YouTube? Can you just describe that to us?
Yeah, I think, firstly, I think what was noticeably different on because I watched the T20 when we were over there.
Yeah.
And I think, was it a bit of the league game, or maybe it was not a Lowerhouse game, maybe it was another game. And the cameras, I think they did a couple of extra cameras.
Right.
And so they showed some sort of long shots and side views, and there was some like quite decent close-up angles as well. So that like made it for interesting viewing than before. Because if it's going to be 7 hours and it's just one sort of camera shot, then best will in the world, the Worsley Cup Final, it might get a bit monotonous. But actually, that made it quite interesting. So fair play to them there. I think that bit of it, in terms of the pictures and stuff, you got to see more at ground, and if there were shots played and everything else, you got an appreciation of where it field was set. So fair play to them on that. But yeah, pitched in about then, and like I say, I'd sort of clocked off during one at rain breaks, and then wasn't too sure when that were going to come back on, so did something else. But then that looked to be a good partnership building there, and I thought, well in control here, and going good, and literally blinked and looked back at the screen and saw Ben and Johnny at the same end, sort of like gesticulating with each other.
Yeah.
And and unfortunately, the 10-second rewind on YouTube doesn't work on that live stream, so I couldn't just sort of like go back. So I was texting Adam saying what happened there, like, but yeah.
Yeah, it was. I asked you, Joe Martin, see if you'll comment about this. And the way I saw it, it was a two all day long, pushing the fielders, and if the fielder hits the stumps, a direct hit from the boundary edge, and you run out, then it's a bit of bad luck. But to not go for it, I put it straight on Johnny's toes, and I spoke to him last night about that, so I'm not talking out of school. What do you think, Joe Martin?
Someone who's been run out a lot, usually on the receiving end,
and sits on the fence a lot.
Yeah, and I think that, you're not going to believe this, but I see merit in both arguments. Whereas, where I thought it was a 2, absolutely. So I think Ben was perfectly justified in that. But I think I also heard Johnny shout no as well. So, and then Ben shouted yes. So it's just one of those things where, as you carry on playing, it's you're gonna have to go for I don't know, like you have to have like a double call where you've both got to line up, so you've both got to say yes. Whereas if there's not a matchup, it's going to get going to lead to more run-outs, I think, in our team.
Yeah, it does sound like it. What it was. We can laugh about it now, and we would laugh about it if we got lost. We're from Lowerhouse. We've seen all that sort of thing. But clearly, Ben was extremely annoyed, and you could almost see Johnny Whitehead thinking, right, I've dropped a bollock there, or I've been involved in dropping a bollock. I've got to stick around now, and because our team, I think we would agree, is that Johnny Whitehead can go absolutely mental. Ben has got the concentration skills that could bat all the way through and get anything between 90 and 120 himself. So once we'd lost Ben there. What was Ben like when he got in the dressing rooms, Joe?
I don't know. I started walking.
We've got to give the fans some insight, Joe.
Well, I don't think he was particularly happy.
Right.
But he was also he wasn't in the dressing rooms that much, actually. He went in, I think he got a drink, and then came out and took his pads off outside and started having a chat with some of the players. So
good on him. Yeah.
Yeah. But I saw that from a distance because
you legged it. Yeah, you went on your chicken run. So Johnny Whitehead, we're thinking, right, the pros come in, you know, us spectators were talking about an innings that he'd played, I think only the week before, midweek, in the club that he plays for in Ireland, where he got 140 off 60 balls in a T20 game. So, you know, we're thinking, right, this lad can really bat and score quickly. This is not doom and gloom like we all think it is, because we've lost these 2 wickets. Happy days, everything will be fine. And then Johnny plays a little bit of an uncharacteristic shot, I think. I don't know whether he played it in anger because of the run out, or he thought it was a full half volley, but it wasn't there at all, and he's been caught on the boundary edge. I mean, what can you remember? Did you see that, Dooch? Did you see that happen?
Yeah, we're watching. Yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I did have an nagging feeling that after the run out, something like that might happen. Again, said that to Johnny last night, so not anything out of school there. But what I don't want to talk about negatives. I want to look at the scorecard and the partnership that they put on. We were in the Worsley Cup Final, batting first. We'd only lost 1 wicket going into the 36th over of the game. Which, you know, the pros innings obviously is going to grab all the headlines, and rightly so. But I think that partnership has ultimately won us the final, because that, you know, we've all played in games where you're 3 and 4 down at halfway. You do not have the same opportunity to accelerate in the same way. The fact that we were 1 wicket down in the 36th over, I think, a decent lick. We weren't going slowly by any means. But I think that's ultimately what's decided the final.
Yeah, it's a great point, that, dude. You know, people don't realise losing wickets causes mayhem. Doesn't matter whether you're batting first or batting second. So you're right. We've lost the toss. They've put us in. You know, there's rain breaks everywhere as well. I think we came off at least twice, if not 3 times, when they were in. So, you know, you're right. They've put 123 on, and with 30 odd overs. So there's still plenty to bat. But then what happened after that, I found was really quite extraordinary, and not in a, you know, blame way. Not in it just happened, and you know, it's just something you can, you know what I'm like about planning. We should plan. You couldn't plan for that. What was that like in the dressing room, Joe Martin, when Francois and Paddy are both out first balls?
Well, so I was sat down when Francois was out.
Right.
And then I immediately started to get very nervous. So I started walking around.
Yeah.
Started doing my laps again. And then, so I thought, it'll be all right. Paddy's playing very well this year. We'll be all right. And then I heard an appeal and around. And then I think you can't, when you lose, you know, we've lost 4 quick wickets there. You know, you've lost Ben, you've lost Johnny, you've lost Francois, who's a fantastic batter, and Paddy the same, who's a great player, and he's had a good season. But at the same time, you can never count us out, because you've got Charlie and Blaise and Dean and Finch were batting 11. He's had, you know, 3 Lancashire League hundreds, I think, or something like that, maybe more. So you can't ever count us out. And Charlie coming in actually was a good thing, because it calmed everything down. You know, he saw off, you know, the next few overs, and then that sort of led to Blaise coming in. I think one sort of big psychological point was getting to 200, because at the start of the game we said we'd have been happy with 180.
Really? So that's what you thought, right, the way the wicket was going to play, and the way.
That's what we thought was about par, actually, on the wicket. It was a greenish wicket. It was a good wicket, but I think as we sort of progressed further on, we thought, we can, in my kind of doom and gloom, when we were 158 for 5 or whatever it was, I was just hoping that we would get 12 runs and get to 170.
It's a good point. And you mentioned that about losing the 4 wickets, and you've got a pro that no one knows, really, who's playing in a league that he doesn't know. He doesn't know the opposition, doesn't know the umpires, which I think adds up to a lot more credit, you know, for him as we continue to talk this through. Gary, did you have any figures in mind of what sort of scores we were going to get as from the opening partnership and then losing all those wickets. I certainly did. What was your thoughts?
I think not to the extent that I thought we would get 250. I mean, that were I think when they're 150 odd for 5, we're here 6 or something like that. Then you're thinking, if you can see out a few overs, a lot of experience to come. So I weren't panicking that we were going to be 170 all out. But if you think like Joe was saying, you can get to 200ish, then that's fine. But again, difficult. I don't know their bowlers particularly well, so you're looking at like who's yet to bowl. I think they saved their pro, didn't they, for a few overs. So you're not sure about that. But yeah, again, every confidence with the batting, like I say, Finchy coming in 11 or whatever. I mean, it almost I wouldn't say it don't matter that there was a middle order collapse or loss of a few wickets there, but certainly your tail wasn't starting at 8 or 9 like we've had teams in the past like that. So not every confidence really. Yeah.
No, I do agree. They have got good bowlers as well, Gary. I think their bowling lineup similar to ours in that they've got the depth there, and they have got that 6 bowler who could do it. What about yourself, Dukes? What were your thoughts on before I give mine about potential? What we were thinking we were going to get.
Well, we lost 4 wickets for 6 runs, and before that, and I was thinking, we're going to get 250. We're going to push for 250 when Ben and Johnny were going.
Yeah.
And the impact of losing 4 for 6, you then think, well, can we get to 200? Can we get to 210 maybe? If we get to 210 from this position, that would be a good score. And at that stage, when we just lost the 5th wicket, that was kind of where my head was at. Can we get 200, stretch to 210?
Yeah, well, I'm with you all day on that, Dukes. Mine was similar figures. I started off 230, went to, we're not going to get 180, 190 here. And then I think it's time now we can talk about Charlie and Blaise. We're going back, 16 years, 17 years. And these 2 lads were getting 50s and 80s and winning games in semi-finals and finals. The innings they both played yesterday, I think, was as significant. Charlie only faced 12 balls, but he calmed it all down. Clearly, our pro was working things out, and it's only at the end of the game, I think, what an intelligent cricketer he is, and that balances with what Dukes has mentioned about when he picked him up from the airport, asking questions, wanting to know how things played. So Charlie only played those 12 balls with him, got 8 runs, but you could see him start to build it up, and then Blaise comes in, faces 19 balls, and gets 14. And the partnerships are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I think they've only put on, Charlie's and him have only put on 15 or 20 runs, but then between the pro and Blaise, they put on 84 runs, and it was literally the last 5 or 6 overs that when I was counting it down, which is just so demoralising for him. I mean, what did that look like on YouTube, Gary? Could you see the extent of his hitting and the quality?
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, those extra camera angles, where he put a couple in car parks and stuff like that, and then square of the wicket. I think he got a couple of a slot sweep or a short ball or 2, and that were at the time Matt Stanley were on commentary as well, and so
how did that go?
Well, actually, it were really good listening, because you were having a bit of banter with their chairman at the time, and it were all good. There were nothing, untoward. It were actually quite sensible stuff, and then Frank had wandered past a couple of times talking about fireballs and Jaeger bombs and that, but we got back to cricket, and that were good. And Matt Stanley were actually pretty close on with what he was predicting at the time, when you could just feel that. Obviously, Blaise had set his stall out to try and rotate the strike and give it back to the pro, and then he just lifted off, didn't he? And it was 70 odd off the last 5 overs or something, and you could see it. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it were a full, short, wide, straight, whatever. He'd got his eye in by that time, and it was disappearing.
Yeah, without and. You're 100% right, Gary. He'd worked it out. It was almost, it's like watching T20 or the 100 cricket of county players working out, right, I can hit this individual there, or there. And if I get it in that slot, that is where I'm going to hit it. And once he got in that zone, it was as good. I mean, I'm sure that you heard people say the same, Dooch. They were talking about that is a similar sort of hitting that's not been seen since the like of Curtis Hazard and Collis King, etc., etc. And at the time, I thought, don't be ridiculous, because it was always so much better then. But the more I reflect on it, they're perfectly right. It was proper, true hitting. There was clearing.
I mean, Dewhurst and Eamon have bowled 18 overs and gone for 129. And probably not bowled that bad, especially Dewhurst. And you felt sorry for him because he's probably like a pretty good cricketer, pretty good bowler. And it probably didn't really matter who were going to be on. They were going to go, and it was just how far really.
Yeah, it was, and the timing of it was so good. How he timed that in. So I've got. I mean, again, Joe and Joe, jump in if because I'm going to move on to their innings. Then I'll bring you in a minute, Joe Martin, just to see what the mood was like. But in my experience, and again, it's probably a Lowerhouse doom and gloom because it always happened to us. Those last 5 or 6 overs, if you've been tated or the game has changed quite considerably, I've always found that we generally, we lose 2 wickets in the first 5 overs. It's game over. We don't even get half of their score. And I thought that was going to happen to them. I thought they would absolutely beaten into the dust, no matter how good a players they were. But we're going to be upbeat. They're going to struggle like mad. What were the players' thoughts at that time, Joe? Once you've got in and they've clapped him back in and it's high fives.
Well, I think there's 2 things. First, that the Pros innings was brilliant. It was very, very good. But it's still vitally important. That's of what Blaise adds to this team. The fact that yesterday he didn't. The Blaise of the last few years has been where he's been trying to, hit it over the ropes and hit boundaries and that sort of thing. But yesterday it was, it was rotating the strike and it was absolutely brilliant. And he's been very frustrated this year. He really has with
his cricket.
I think so. With how he's batted, but he's changed how he's trained for the past few weeks, which I think has made a difference. And yesterday just kind of proved that he's still got so much to give to the team, I think. Yeah. But there we go.
It was, I would, I agree with you. Can't praise Blaise enough. But the Pro playing that innings is that is what grinds Clitheroe into the dust.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think after that, when they take those wickets, they would think if we can bowl them out now, or if we can stop them getting 200, we're well in with the shot here.
Definitely.
But then for us to go even further past 200 and then to 250 when they've been in actually a really strong position, I think is
it is. So
out of you.
Without a doubt. So we're upbeat. I'm guessing we're up there ready for it. Did you get the impression they felt a bit downtrodden? I'm only asking that question, Joe, because I thought they handled the first 10 overs very, very well.
Yeah, I don't think so. They go really, Tom Lord is a really clean striker with the ball.
Yeah.
And I don't think they thought they were out of the game at half time.
Right.
So
well, that's credit to them. That is real credit. It really is. So you come out and Tom Lord, like you said, is I thought he batted exceptionally well. I thought that the pressure that they were under, were continuing. They were never not scoring at an average of around 4 and over for the first 10 overs or so. I didn't think Frankie. He almost like 2 decent balls, bowling a good line. The length was there, but then all of a sudden would bowl one wide down the leg side and one wide down the offside. What was the reasoning for that, do you think, in that open burst?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I think it's one of those days. I don't know whether people thought we were going to do how we bowled against Wollaston.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think is once in a long time kind of spell bowling.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a power play, and they were going to go hard at it. So and they were going to flash hard and need some great shots. But I always thought that we were in with a chance.
Well, I'm going to ask that question. So as they were constantly getting the 4 and over, you know, they were never getting it. You know, certainly that first half of the game, it was never getting near 6. You were still all upbeat. You were still happy enough. But Frankie and Joe didn't bowl as well as they had done before. The Pro Bowl came on and bowled. You know, again, we can talk about how he bowled, but I just thought we're not stopping the runs here or getting the wickets that we possibly need to completely stuff them out of the game. You know, how did you feel about that, their scoring rate, and also how our Pro bowled?
So I was nervous, not about how our Pro bowled, because I thought he actually bowled pretty well, actually. He changed his pace. Again, the way that they were batting, they were going to get some through the infield, and they were going to hit some boundaries.
Yeah.
But you know, we got Ali Ross out, transfer LBW, and it was a good delivery. And then, you know, after that, you know, they were batting really well. I thought they weren't up with the rate, but they were never too far behind it. But I think at some point they were going to have to try and push on a little more.
Yeah, in the middle of the innings, I'll come on to that because I agree with you. Then that's when I think we were taking a little bit of control. What were your thoughts at that time, Duke? You know, I'm not normally someone who's thinking doom and gloom. Were you quite positive in that first third of their innings?
Surprisingly so, because I'm a bit of a half empty man. But I just always felt that we would take wickets, and we had a very strong bowling lineup. Even though we didn't have Toxie, we had 5 very, very good bowlers. Ben managed to get rid of a few overs from himself as well, which gave us that bit of wriggle room. And I felt Tom Lord, whilst he was obviously batting very well and striking a clean ball, he is a bit of a 30-40 merchant. He usually go on and get 80.
Yeah.
Although I did once drop him in a league game when he was about 14, and he went on to get 80 that day. But I wasn't comfortable, but I wasn't worried.
Yeah. How was it coming across on the on YouTube, Gary? And were the commentators partaking in a glass or two? Was the commentary getting more entertaining?
It was lively, yeah, and they had a change in personnel for a while, I think, which probably, let's say, didn't do themselves any favours. It didn't come across particularly cultured, shall we say, but a bit more tribal in that sense.
Yeah.
But on the cricket, I mean, I thought Thomas Lowe, given he'd had a long bowling spell, and he finished Sam Olsted's overs, didn't he? And bowled a few overs. So I thought, well, he's opening up batting. Maybe that's a bit too much for him. And then when he got to 30 or 40, and whether that was because Ali Ross went early doors, because he never really got going, did he? And I think that were a good wicket. I don't know whether he felt a bit aggrieved with the decision. He seemed, I don't know. Anyway, so I weren't sure about whether Thomas Lowe was really just going to go after it because he got in. But again, I think another good wicket, a good timely intervention there, because if him in the Pro had set the stall out, again, before you know it, you're looking at under a partnership, and then we're thinking, right, how do we change this up? How do we get a wicket?
Yeah, exactly. And then and like you say, or like Joe said earlier, if they're only 1 down, and you know, and they need 6, 6.5, 7 and over off the last 20, it really is on when they've only got 1 wicket down. It's just whilst Gary's brought that up there. Does anyone know what happened with their opening bowler, Holstead? It seems strange to bowl nearly his 10 overs.
Dear. You're a bit transparent, that, Jez. I think people can see through that comment. I've got a view on it. I think that, for those who don't know, Sam's been injured for a couple of weeks. He hasn't played. He didn't play on Saturday in the league game. I watched him warm up before the game on Sunday, and he looked like he was struggling. But he managed to get through 9.3 overs, I think it was, and then went off, and he had a subfielder already with his whites on waiting to come on.
Right.
Which I was a bit uncomfortable with that. I felt that it was bending the rules a little bit to say that, he was able to bowl his 9.3 overs. He didn't get through all 10. He went off with half an over to spare, and he was allowed a subfielder. I think the rule is if you go off with a pre-existing injury, you're not entitled to a subfielder. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as I remember it, I think that is right, unless it is changed. But it's difficult to, if he's bowled that many balls, is it that injury? How do you ever prove that injury? I know what you're saying, dudes, but I think you're clutching at straws a little bit there.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those, isn't it? If he was fit and he's played and with the right intentions and the right ethics and morals, etc., then and then something else has happened or whatever, then you say, okay, tough luck. But if you've gone in injured and everyone's going to know that, and you're not going to hide it, what does that say to like second team lads who might have been thinking they'd have had a sniff of a game or whatever? Sometimes you're playing a dangerous game there. I know there's a lot at stake, but you're playing a pretty dangerous game with what message that sends out.
It is. I mean, the other point there is, I'm assuming the subfielder, who's all got his whites on, etc., is coming on. He's going to be a relatively youngish lad, a younger lad than Holstead, and possibly a little bit better. But I believe, he dropped a catch into their subfielder. Is that right, Joe?
No.
Yeah, so that was
their Johnny on about 37.
Yeah, they dropped Johnny.
I wonder if I think that was true.
There were some comments towards the end about some people being on the pitch with 12 fingers. I wonder if he'd have had 12 fingers, he might have caught Johnny there, mightn't he? Sorry. So anyway, so we've got through the first, their pros come in. Am I right in thinking, Joe Martin, Finchy's got their pro, the first ball that Finchy bowls?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolute stoners, he appeared to be. Yeah.
Out. They were really out. I don't actually know what he tried to do.
No.
It swung in a little bit, and it almost seemed like he tried to paddle sweep it or like ramp it a little bit, but he moved so far across.
Yeah.
It was really straight.
Yeah.
But it was proper out.
Yeah, and he certainly wasn't whinging about it. I quickly had a look at that on YouTube. I don't know if you were watching live then, Gary. It was a straight, looked like it was 2 minds to which shot to play, and then didn't really play any.
Well, they just didn't feel like there were any need.
No.
If it comes off and you're making a statement and everything else, then fair enough. But like I say, at that stage with a lot of the game to go, just didn't feel like there were any need.
No, it was.
It also highlights, Jez, how valuable Finch is.
Yeah, without a doubt.
He gets good players out, gets pros out. He's done it, a few times this year already.
Yeah.
And
he's very consistent in his Finchy. You don't get. I know he had that 4 wide, but you don't. You know what you're getting off him. He knows where he's putting it. He knows what fields to set, and Finchy's never going to be one that's going to go for 80 or something off a ridiculous spell of bowling. So then you've got the batter duo. That's Jack, isn't it? Yeah, that come in. He's a great player, really good player, and but then you get him, you catch him behind off your brother. Just talk us through that, because I don't know if he how big a nick that was.
It was quite a big nick, actually. I think it's I guess it's worth discussing. I haven't kept all too well this year, and I've tried to do a few different new things. I've gone back to having some one-to-ones at 27. I've changed. Yesterday, I wore my 2018 Worsley Cup Final Bulls for the first time since then. I had them refaced. And it was just ones that have been, they've sort of bounced out all year, or, well, I haven't actually had a chance to think about it, but yesterday it was quite a fit nick. It was a pretty good ball from Paddy, and it just stuck, and it was good. It was very good. It was a big, massive wicket jack, because he's a proper player.
I agree. And he's someone that would work around, getting for and over himself, and then can accelerate from it. And it's got, I don't know if it's on the YouTube video, and if we can get a copy of it, but you two actually hugged, didn't you? You and your brother.
I think we did, yes. I think it was out of surprise that I caught it.
Yeah, it was funny because I was watching. You both got hold of each other, and you put each other down like, I shouldn't be doing that. We don't like each other.
Yeah, well, it's
I did enjoy that.
Paddy, we can't. I know we've skipped past Tom Lord's dismissal, but Paddy's direct hit of Tom Lord was
no, good point, dude. Let's talk through that. Go on, Joe Martin. You're the closest to anyone. Just tell us. Just describe how that went.
So it was hit towards just in front of point, I would say. Tom sets off. Their pro shouts no, but Tom is quite far down the track. So Paddy turns and hits direct hit. I think if he answered, I think he would have been out even if it wasn't a direct hit. But I think that gives us a bit of momentum actually, because at the start of the game, when we were fielding, Ben gave us two objectives, which were no more than 10 extras.
Yeah.
And we're going to get one run out today.
Yeah.
And I think we achieved both of those actually.
Yeah. That's good.
But when things like that happen, it builds everybody up, and it makes them, it gets them on the game. It's not like an LBW, or I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it shows that everybody's on the toes and stuff, on the toes.
Yeah. And the crowd love it. The crowd, a really good run out like that, it really gets the crowd going. And I think it's probably worth mentioning now, the odd occasion that, when they were bowling quite well and Heyman's on a hat trick and the banter that was going on, there were some Clitheroe fans that did make a little bit of noise. And as soon as that type of thing happens, you've got your 300-400 Lowerhouse fans who are all in that long side bit there, and they're going mental, and it will affect the players. It will lift you.
Absolutely. And the support we had yesterday was incredible. It was really it was brilliant.
We even had support from other clubs. Levi Wolfenden from Church was giving us a huge leg up, giving lots of support for Joe.
Good.
So that was good to see.
Yeah, there were a lot of love on YouTube as well on the chat that goes along with the stream, and there was John Thomas from Walsden. He was saying he just didn't know which side to support the most. Yeah, it was very complimentary, and I think if he wasn't a Walsden player, I think we could look for a new recruit.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, John Thomas. How did what was it like, the comments on the YouTube bit, Gary? I saw them flying up, but I didn't read any of them.
It was quite good. There were a lot of people. I think at one point it peaked at about 300 or 400 watching. Now I don't know, all those were sort of reported, whether it's just still people on the ground as well, just having a snack. But there were a few noticeable watchers from overseas. Shane Higgins in in Minneapolis. He was. So he made himself known, and there were people in Greece and some Greek islands watching, and Cornwall and stuff like that. So it was all good fun initially, and then one chap just decided he was going to liven it up a little bit, it was it looked to be quite a few watching there, which I think is great. If you can't get to that game, and you'd never say you take away your ticket, your gate receipts and turn up and watch a game for real. But if it's a second best option, it were pretty good.
I think they've set a precedent there, Clitheroe. I think they really set the bar in terms of.
I agree. It's good.
Seeing that footage and how popular it was. I think other clubs have got to follow suit now.
Yeah, for definite. And you're right, Gary. I don't think for 1 second it's going to reduce the gate receipts or anything like that. If people can get to the game and they want to get to the game, they will get there. But that's a great option. Again, maybe just work on the commentary a little bit. See if get that a little bit more professional. Might be a bit helpful. But that's for the future. It's baby steps, I guess. Baby steps.
Indeed. Live and learn.
So we get to. I'll just give you my thoughts here, Joe Martin. I'm sat with my brother Matt, and they're 4 down. And the game is not going to sleep, but the crowd are doing a little bit, get on with it. Each going slow. But those 2 lads, was it Mulligan and Dib?
Yeah.
That were in. So 5 and 6 were in after Dewis were out in the throw. And I just thought they were batting quite sensibly there. There was lots of overs left.
Yeah.
And they were getting 4 and over every over in singles and the odd boundary. Matt completely disagreed with me, and he's clearly now right in what he was saying. But I just thought if they kept it, to 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5 and over, we didn't lose any more wickets, we could have had a little bit of a problem there. Did the players think that at all, Joe?
I don't think so. The reason I think that is, so firstly, Mulligan and Dib are 2 very good players. Sam's a very good player. But I think going at 4 and 5 and over when you need 6 and 7 and over is fine if you've still got the pro in. And I'm not taking anything away from the amateurs because they're 2 really good players, 2 very good players. But I think it gives it a different dynamic when the pro's in, because you sort of expect him to be able to accelerate like our pro did and consistently hit boundaries and clear the rope. Whereas for an amateur to do it, I think is a really tall order. And I think it's really difficult to do, to consistently, if you take the game to 5 overs less and you say 6 down instead of 4 down, and then you're going for it, needing 8 or 9 and over, I think it's really tricky. I think it's really tricky with when you've just got amateurs in.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, that. Yeah. You need someone still to get a good 80 and get the last 40 in 25 balls. Yeah, no, it's a good point. It might be just as I'm getting older, I just thinking, oh, crikey, we could do with another wicket here, or stop them getting 4 and over, and then the odd maiden. We had a slip in for a long time, and I was thinking, can we not get him out to point and just stop those? We were giving them 3 singles and over, but as it turns out, you were right. Dukes, did you ever have those feelings that I were having, or were you quite comfortable when those? Because they've put on, I think they've put on
62 on, Jez.
Yeah, 62 on. Did you have concerns?
Well, we were working it out where I think I was sat with you near around this. He did about 100 from the last 15 overs.
Yeah.
He's not unmanageable by any stretch. But I still thought we'd take wickets. I was a bit worried about that, actually. I thought if this game goes the distance, we're going to struggle for light. But Paul Stanley, to his credit, rightly pointed out that probably never going to go the distance that game. Things once we took a wicket, things started happening very quickly, which is what we predicted. I wasn't really, even when they needed 100 from the last 15 with Mulligan and batting, I was thinking he's a bit one-paced. He's not really going to. Is he going to be able to take Frankie apart? I don't know about Charlie Dewhurst and his batting style, but Kyle O'Connor's similar a bit to Dib. He's a very good player. Again, he's not. Is he going to tee off? Lightly. Stuart Lemon, I know quite a bit about, having played against him for a long time, but I don't think he's been in great form recently. So I fancied us really. As far as the finals go yesterday, from when we lost those 4 wickets for 6 runs, yesterday was quite a stress-free day for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then once we'd got that breakthrough to get them 5 down, you know, they've put up an effort. They faced 18 balls, 13 balls, but it was all downhill then. And like you said, Joe, that game wouldn't have finished till probably 8:45, 9 o'clock if we'd have gone the overs, and it might have been difficult then. So having to come back and play. So it was so good that we bowled them out, and bowled them out we did.
I think what I felt there, Jez, during that period where you were saying, maybe although there weren't a lot happening and they were toddling on at 4 and 5, I think Ben actually managed, set the bowling up just really well there for the back end of the innings, just in case one of them got lucky and got a few clean hits in. He still had the pro, he still had Frankie. And even though Joey had gone for a few, but he still had options at the back end and some quite strong bowling. So I concur with everybody in the sense that you weren't really panicking at that stage. You thought we had it in control. I think Ben did a real good job of just putting some contingencies, a bit of insurance at the back end there, just in case somebody got a bit lucky.
Yeah, no,
very good point.
Yeah, it is a great point. And then when you look, he bowled those 4 overs. I wasn't sure what he was doing early on there, but that gave him that license to, and then just bowl Paddy and Finchy as he did. I know he brought Paddy back and he came back and bowled even better. But you've got those two, Paddy going for 33 off his 10 and Finchy for 38 off his 10. Yeah, you're right. It leaves you with plenty of options at the end.
I mean, those two bowling in tandem, Jez, really squeezed them actually. And I know I was saying that, they were going at 4 and 5 and over, and they were probably happy with that. In fact, I know they were. I spoke to the captain afterwards. But it properly squeezed them because they weren't hitting boundaries. I think Paddy got hit for 1 boundary, and that was his last. That was the last ball of his last over. He got hit for a boundary.
Yeah,
so,
it was. It really squeezed them as it's perfect. That's exactly what happened. And then we started getting the wickets, and it started getting a bit frantic. The fans are almost on the pitch, and it is getting darker, and it's getting all a bit a bit heated. But then I didn't have a Scooby-Doo that Francois got after it to finish it off. Did anyone else?
No idea.
So you didn't as players?
No idea.
Well, I'll tell you what the $1 million question is then. Did Francois?
No.
So he didn't know he got an after it?
No.
Oh, God help me.
I don't think he knows now. But how well did he come back and bowl? Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Compared with, because he'd been difficult early on, he'd bowled fantastically well there. Yeah, he did. So it's the victories in the bag, Joy. It was fantastic to see, how much it meant to you all as players, and obviously the fans absolutely love it. You can't have enough of winning. I'm not suggesting we've won so much over the last 20 years, we're getting used to it, but you just can't have enough of that. They're great occasions, and they do remind everyone of what the club's about, and how fantastically well run it is. People getting emotional. Stan had a tear in his eye, and and Iggy had a tear in his eye, and it was fantastic. So what was it like in the dressing room afterwards, Joe, and the journey back?
Well, it was it was a really amazing. We weren't really in the dressing room, to be honest with you. We were all outside and speaking to all the people. And actually, I think with everything that everybody's been through with COVID and all the lockdowns, the fact, it might sound a bit soppy, I guess, but the fact that you could actually kind of hug people and stand next to them and share something that was brilliant. Yeah. So it makes you realise how much you enjoy playing cricket and that sort of thing. So I think it was brilliant. It was really, really good. So they all went back on the bus.
Yeah.
I tidied the dressing rooms.
Good lad.
put stuff in the bin and that sort of thing, and then drove back. And then I would say the best part of winning any, obviously the game and everything's great, but the best part of winning any cup is when you park up and you walk back up the drive up to the clubhouse, and all the Lowerhouse fans are there, and they start singing and chanting, and it's genuinely amazing because the noise that they create is brilliant. And the walk up, and as you walk in, it's really hard to explain what it feels like, but you're a bit proud, that these people are really happy, and you've sort of given them a good winter, I guess.
Yeah, let me just try and describe it to the listeners what was going on there. All the fans had got back to the club on the 2 double-decker coaches that had taken the fans over. So you've got to say probably about 120 fans, 150 fans have travelled over together, taken a beer or two, and then come back. And the vast majority have come into the club, and they've arrived before the players. So they're already happy and singing, and the bar staff have done a fantastic job. Gary, it was fantastic to see. I should have got a picture of this. They'd half filled probably 80-pint glasses of beer and lager. So as soon as everyone came in, people weren't waiting. So you imagine that in our day, we'd have been arguing whose turn it was to go behind bar.
Yeah,
and who's and everyone's falling.
And we definitely wouldn't have had 80 glasses to half fill, I'll tell you that for nothing.
That's right. No, we'd have run out of beer and glasses. And so as each player came in, I think, Finchy's played a lot, he's seen a lot, he's been there. He was the first one in, and I'm just sat in the corner of this, and he came in, he was like a little schoolboy. He came in all in his whites with his cap on.
Really?
And he's like, yeah, and his sliders, and they all just bust out singing. And he looked and was a bit like, do I take my cap off? Do I wave? What do I do here? It was one of those moments that were a bit surreal. So it's good that the players enjoy that, Joe, and that the fans certainly did. Greeting you like that.
It was great. I thought it was great for Finchy. The point about Finchy was great, that when that happened, when he walked through, he was the first one back. He had his 2 kids with him.
Yeah, that's right.
And obviously Leanne as well. But Archie's now old enough to know what all that's about, and he's obviously cricket mad. And he's got on, and he's been there watching, and he's bowling all day while games going on. And he walks through, and his dad gets that reception at Lowerhouse. He'll probably remember that just as much as Finchy will.
Yeah, of course he will. Yeah, they're memories that you take forever. And then I saw after it had all happened, just a bit of an aside, Shelley Heap teaching Finchy's daughter how to, is it called twerking, when you twerk your bottom?
I don't know, Jez, what is that? Can you give us a demonstration of it? I know the list.
I can't really. I can't
kind of video service that dude.
Finchy were going mad. Don't do that. Stop doing that, will you? Stop doing it. So then, when you as the rest of the team came in, Joe, it really meant that much to you, did it? You got a bit emotional then before when we were.
Well, I think it's. I don't know whether they know how much we kind of appreciate the fact that they come and watch us.
Yeah.
And because you think, why do you want to come? But I guess that's the club.
Why do you want to come?
I don't know, but I think that's what the club's about. The fact that
there has been a connection, isn't there, between the team the playing teams, if you like, and the supporters. And these aren't just parents who, come down with the kids and are watching family play. No, these are. Lowerhouse locals and from further afield, they've got a real affinity with the club and a connection with the players, and feel the down times as much as celebrating the up times.
Yeah, 100%, Gary. You're so right. They are, and it's strange, and cracky. This is certainly not a criticism, but the amount of faces that I hadn't seen for a while, from going back to when Dukes were captain and Charlie were captain, and we were winning the league and cups. And you couldn't remember. You could look and thinking, "Cracky, that's so and so, and that so and so." You haven't seen them for 5 or 10 years, but they still love it. The songs are brilliant. They're still exactly the same songs. It's like rolling back from your dad, Gary. And they were all singing these same songs, and you all know the words, and you love singing them. It was It was phenomenal. And the pros seemed to enjoy it. Joe Martin, he seemed to get stuck in, and we're having a few drinks. Is there any, supping gin out the Worsley Cup at the end of the night, I believe? Have you any stories around that and what happened this morning?
I wasn't there because I knew that I had to be up early to take him to the airport. So I left at about 20 to 12.
Yeah.
And I could, at least get a few hours sleep.
Yeah.
So, I put Dad's Army on and I were well away. But then picked him up and I don't know if he'd been to sleep.
You didn't look like you'd been to sleep.
No, not at all.
Good luck.
That's not a bad thing. I hope he got off plane.
Yeah, I do. I mean, he didn't know. He didn't quite know where his terminal was until he checked. He didn't know where he was going when he got out of the car. Do you know where you're going?
Oh.
No, I'm sure I'll find my way.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it was a fantastic end to a really good day.
The other thing about the Pro was that I think it's kind of a two-way thing, but it's fantastic that he feels comfortable enough to come back with. I know he played a massive part in the game, but he feels comfortable enough to come back and celebrate with us. And the reception from the fans was brilliant.
Yeah.
They were having selfies with him and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think his perception of the club will be great, and it's only a positive thing. Because some pros, they might have finished the game, won the game, and gone home.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
To stay behind them is great. It's really good.
Yeah. It was. As we've just been chatting now, he obviously is. He has made it home, he's made it wherever he was going, because he has been retweeting and liking some of the tweets from the Lowerhouse fans. They've just been coming up now, so at least he's done that. Whilst we're on about the social media, I found it quite bizarre, really, last night and during the day. We've had this little bit of success, and the social media. I can understand now why footballers and cricketers and pop stars get a little bit aggrieved at some of the tweets that have been going on. Has anyone else seen some of the the tweets saying that we're rubbish, we might pay players, we might do this? Anyone else read anything around that?
I've seen a few bits, yeah.
Because there was one, I don't know what I think he called us arrogant. I think he was called Neil Crooksbury or something, saying that we're really arrogant. Both sides are arrogant, and it just took me back to me and Blaise playing for the last 40 odd years or so, where we weren't fit to be on the same field as some players from Burnley and Haslingden and East Lancs, and we put up with it then. So now we've won 3 or 4 trophies in the last few years. I think we can be proud of what we've achieved. What's your thoughts, Joe Martin, on the social media side of it? Is it a little bit?
I don't really engage in social media, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I think I do wonder why people think it is fine to just post things out there and make comments about things that either don't really have any involvement, nobody really cares what to begin with, but it's kind of unnecessary at the same time, because I don't know what they get from it.
No,
they can't feel good about slating clubs or that kind of thing. I don't. That's just my kind of perception of it, but I just think it's just a waste of time. Why would you go on something that is kind of actively promoting something, or you're trying to just do something negative? Surely that can't be good for you, I don't think. But,
yeah, possibly, but it might be their way of venting off whatever they need to vent off.
It might be cathartic for them, yeah.
The beauty of it is that we certainly don't take it to heart. We take it tongue in cheek, as long as there's nothing that's getting real personal or derogatory or against the law or whatever. We'll laugh and joke about it. If people want to tweet us on the Housecast and discuss it, then we'll discuss it. But we can have a laugh and joke about it. We've got the cup. It's interesting. The pros just sent a tweet within the last hour. I'll just read it out for everyone. A big thank you to @Lowerhouse CC for having me for the day. Really was one amazing day with so much love for the game. Brilliant to be part of. Amazing support. All I can say is follow the blue and yellow boys, a champion club. What a lovely fella.
Superb.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant. That's great.
We're trending on Irish Twitter.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be all over it. Yeah. That's great. So, lads, we'll wrap it up. Very soon. We'll just go around, see if there's anything else we want to discuss and just talk through. The fans might be interested in. Joe Martin, you normally go last. Is there anything you want to just bring up?
Nothing from me, I don't think.
No. Have you got the radiator on? Have you got the radiator on in that room?
No.
You've took your gloves off.
I've got 5 jumpers on because I've been coaching and it was freezing.
Right.
So I'm a bit hot now after an hour and a half.
All right. Joe, thanks very much for giving us the insight of the way it is for the players. The fans really enjoy it to hear it. There's nothing controversial there. Like I said, we're not trying to be smart or anything, but the players do like to know what goes on in the dressing rooms and the build-up. So thanks very much for that. And to you, Duke, is there anything you want to add before we finish up?
No, that's all good, Jez.
Yeah, good lad. And again, you and Matt Stanley, a sterling job in pulling all that together. I know the grief you were going through and yourself, what decision's right, what decision's wrong. But I think at the end of the day, win or lose, the club are always supporting volunteers like yourself. So thanks very much. Gary, from afar, thanks for the input around the YouTube. That was really interesting. We didn't see much of it. You've obviously enjoyed it, and we've had some banter about the various comments. And I don't know if you have 12 fingers down where you are now, whether the other 2 have fell off. But thanks for coming on. Anything you want to add before we finish up?
No, Jez, it was brilliant. It was a great day yesterday, and as much as I could be involved from this sort of distance, it was brilliant. Yeah, congratulations, Joe. Thoroughly well earned.
Yeah. Thanks very much for that, Gary. So, everyone, I hope you enjoy that. We've got a few other episodes that we're planning now. We've had a trip away after we won the award from Lancs Cricket, so we want to talk about that. We've got some guests being lined up for towards the end of the season and into winter. We hope to carry this on for as long as you all enjoy listening to it. The feedback's fantastic. In fact, we had some conversations yesterday, Joe Martin, about trying to get some females on that we're desperately trying to get on, but they're not forthcoming. There's only 2 yesterday who wanted to come on. Any comment on that or not?
One of them would be acceptable.
One of them would be acceptable. Right. Well, your sister, no, I agree. Well, we'll see. We'll see as it goes.
No, we won't.
We'll see. So anyway, thanks very much everyone for listening. Don't forget, subscribe to the Housecast and like it and spread the word. And thanks for listening. And goodbye.
Gordon, send more house to save the house.